Okay, so this is the next day after all the police are here. There's a dead cat right here, and it is similar, like nearly identical to the cat that my brother has, right? He bought maybe last year or the year before or whatever. Okay. It's important to note that when I drove by, I didn't notice any yellow tape. That's interesting. Suggests that maybe it wasn't a homicide after all. There certainly were a lot of police officers around. Maybe they ruled it something that isn't a homicide. Maybe they felt that they gathered enough evidence that they don't need to tape off the area. Because it is a private residence, I won't be able to record the residence at least from here, right? Because I've got to just stick to the recording the surrounding area, the public area. And if it happens to kind of show what happened there to some degree, then that's fine. So it's kind of a little creepy here, but it's also important to note that the house is actually colored yellow. That's also something that is significant to the case. There's some flowers there on the road, where the body was, and so on and so forth. So it's over here on Church Street up here. It's Church and Tenant, and that's Tenant Station. And the other shopping center, I believe it's called Vineyard Shopping Center. The parable of the tenants, right? Church Street and Tenant. Not a coincidence. And the word Catholic has the word cat in it. And of course, there's more than just Catholics involved in this. So it's rather unfortunate, right? But you see that the house is yellow, and here it's like bluish green where the apartments are over here. And this is very significant. This has everything to do with targeting me, right? Which goes back to the leopard, Leopold, the lion of Judah, right? The cat, the catch. And I'll be talking about romantic injustice, where they're talking about, the snatch, right? Rhyme and reason. The kitty, the pussy, what have you. And it has everything to do with why this person died when they did, whether it was a homicide or not. So over here, these apartments called the Garden Park Apartments, 205, I guess it would be 205 Tenant Street. Okay, so keep in mind that we have to ask ourselves, why is it wrong? Oh wow, there's another cat over here. Why is it wrong for an attractive female to reject Christ? Well, first of all, you have to ask yourself, who should they be sleeping with and why? What is right? What is wrong? Who is better and why is it called better? When women try to defend their decision, they often say, well, he's a good guy. He's not like that and stuff like this. So if he's a good guy, the other things don't matter, right? Whether he's poor or he's ugly or he has a criminal record, right? So what about the person who's the most righteous guy? Is it fair to reject the most righteous person? While the government is provoking them, right? The cat, again, the kitty, the dead cat. No, it's not right. It is pure evil. The word shun is like the word son. And there's no shortage of meal words, and we'll be going over that shortly, that explain that it is clear that it is a system of rape by deception where they use food and housing to get at people, right? Missing out, sing, house, sing. House, use, home, homie, right? The word bites, right? To bite into something. Bites is biset, right? Bisexual set a deity of storms. Nibbles. It's be in Bel, or nibble, be in Bel. Bel is the Mesopotamian equivalent of the Egyptian storm god of rape by deception and the principles of evil, who's Set. Thus, by Bel, by Set, bites. Still not convinced? What about feed? Feed-y. It's right there in the word fee. That's the fee they pay. Food, faux-do. A menu. Who you choose to, to date, right? The man you choose, the men you choose. The word AIDS is said scrambled. So we see that there's a formula, a pattern that shows us an overwhelming amount of evidence to that effect. And it's somewhat of a secret. And speaking of secrets, you have the word secretary. secret Eri. And of course, Eri is Haro Eri, Horus, the great one, Harware, Horus, the son of God. The idea of the true form of Horus is like the idea of the true form of Jesus, not the images you see, but the true form. What is the true form of Horus? The true form of Horus is the Son of God. What is the ideal man? Well, let's think about this here. The ideal man would probably be mixed. Why? Right? Why? He'd be mixed with Nigerian and probably white. Not that the other races are inferior or not inferior. That's not why. It has to do with Egypt, right? The Pharaoh. The Pharaoh had sort of my skin complexion. Bear with me. If you don't believe me, bear with me. Okay, the word selfish is see flesh. I'm not selfish. You have to look at it in terms of indigenous people. Okay, the Nigerian is the bell that rings the loudest. He's blacker than black. He's blue-black, the soul brother group, what have you. Soul, S-O-U-L, is like S-O-L, the sun. Where Ra is a word for God, where the sun symbolizes God. In Psalm 19, it says the sun is the symbol of the bridegroom. The opposition view is so wrong, so out of touch, that they have to cause me to stumble on my words and then gaslight people and say, hey, he's having trouble speaking, or it's hard to listen to. That is not the action or activity of someone who believes that they're right. That is the action of someone who knows that they're wrong. Sabotage is not how you answer solid debates, where even your mental state is drawn into question. Because if you're not delusional, why are you avoiding the overwhelming amount of evidence that I'm right? Well, why part white? Well, because it has to do with colonialism. If you look at it from a divine perspective, if you're a God looking down, would you want the ideal man to be from a white patriarchal line? No. You'd want him to be from a black patriarchal line. Why? Because it has to do with who is the most stigmatized and why. So when you're the most stigmatized and you've kind of established yourself in a moral manner, and you're the most stigmatized by the colonial groups, okay, it makes sense that you would be seen as ideal. It's fair. But it's not fair for them to be seen as ideal because they're the ones who sabotaged you and killed you and did the mass rape and murder and so on and so forth. Also keep in mind, in this town that is, maybe 1% black, the first person to walk by was a black woman. Okay? What are the odds of that? Black cat, black woman? Not a coincidence. Anyway, so as I was saying, we look at the Pharaoh, right? There's a reason why white people go to get a tan on the beach, because it reflects good health, right? When people are sick, they're pale. And again, I don't care if they're white skinned. My mom is white skinned. I don't care about that. These are the facts here. The facts here that I'm shunned for being the ideal man. And I was shunned the best years of my life and the second best years of my life and so on and so forth until I'm 43 years old and I'm still shunned. How many of you think that's fair? And their response to someone who's mulatto, who complains that in the area that there's not many blacks, that he's being shunned, they think I should just date my own race, which is something that happened too often. I live in Santa Clara County, not in Oakland, not in Harlem, but the vast majority of my girlfriends were black. In fact, every long-term relationship I had was with a black female, even though I grew up not preferring black females. Because society is racist as hell, including here in California. And though they knew I was going on and on about things like this, they never sought to correct it, even though I have thousands of videos on the internet. Because they knew they were going to suppress them to some degree. And because they were so racist, they couldn't contain their racial animosity and their desire to keep me from the white girls, if you will. Now let's think about this some more here. Look at Kobe Bryant. Compare Kobe Bryant to Brad Pitt. Kobe Bryant is more athletic than Brad Pitt. He's more handsome than Brad Pitt. He's more friendly, less privileged. He's more ideal. But what percent of people do you think admit that Kobe Bryant would be a better date in his prime, when he was still alive, of course, than Brad Pitt in his, or that he's more handsome? Now, I don't think either of them are worthy of an attractive woman because they simply conformed to the world, didn't use their position as a celebrity to reveal that Christ was here, what have you. But it proves my point. Even in the word Kobe, you have the word Obi. Kuro Obi means black belt, king, heart, hut, essence, center, temple, core. And Obi and Igbo means excuse me. That's what it means in Igbo, King Hard Hut Essence Center. Keep in mind they're filming me out here, so making it hard for me to talk. But I would hope that the viewer would understand that I'm being filmed for telling the truth. I'm a brain surgeon's son. What are the odds to have some kind of fucking speech impediment or something, or that I'm magically mistaken? It couldn't be. I'm the son of 2 doctors. One a brain surgeon. Think about how many reports he's given. I have videos, when you go back, you see my videos, I have no problem speaking. When I start saying they're filming me, all of a sudden I'm having all kinds of problems speaking. And I have 23 witnesses on record. So again, their sabotage gives away that I'm right. And they're preventing the rise of the solution. We look at Isaiah 11. We're going to go over that shortly as well. When we go over maybe like 13 or 14 points about where they didn't meet me at. The word meet also proves my point. The word meet is tame, scrambled, and me at. We'll get to that. But in Isaiah 11, it says that righteousness and faithfulness are the belt and the sash of the Messiah, who's in the spirit of counsel and might, right? He's trying to correct the situation. The Spirit of God is trying to correct it. Not spitting mere common propaganda, which is why we are in this situation in the first place. So the failure of the state to treat me fairly reflects the wordplay, where the wordplay of the state is at set. Why is it at set? Because they worship the devil and they refuse to do what's right. And they think it's smart. They think it favors them. They think that somehow it's going to help build a family that is worth having, but it's not. They're not thinking about their kids. The reason why all these things occur is clear. They are greedy, and the word greed is like the word Greek, and the word Greek is like the word geek. When you're a greedy geek, in a Greek fraternity, for example, or in a culture similar, a nerd culture. Nerd in the Bible means foolish and contempt. Well, you don't use your head. If you think if you cause me to lose my train of thought and stumble on my words, that magically it helps you, but it doesn't. God Almighty's watching. Your family's going to see it in you that you're a bitch who just follows worm-ass orders, and they're going to see it in the people who give the orders. How the hell does it help you? Every moment you don't man up and you teach your kid to be a bitch every moment too, how does that help you? It doesn't. Your refusal to repent, your refusal to accept correction and instruction will lead to your destruction. Either you accept my instruction and obey God through me, or it's the spiritual destruction of the souls of you and your families. If you don't know that, you are one dumb fuck, and there's no hope for you.